we've talked a lot about this in between media this season. There's going to be curveballs coming your way.
Hate's a strong word. I dislike Kirk Cousins more than probably any other quarterback. Because
I get a little bit of that rookie-itis,
I would have said, I would love some of what you're smoking.
Even though I strayed, I'm still stuck between an interpretation, what it all means. Can I make a difference for something different? My mind in prison, then I saw the vision. Played the field, it's no competition. Found success through the repetition. If it's impossible, stick to the mission. I'm just cruising through on my way to get it. I found myself somewhere in between. Yeah, I found myself somewhere in between. Found myself somewhere in between. Yeah, I found myself somewhere in between.
The In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
The one thing that really sets us apart here is we're not afraid to talk about other things that maybe aren't super fantasy related.
Do what you can to become a better person, to become a better human.
All right, what's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, Season 3, Episode 2, to be specific. I'm Seth Woolcock. You can find me on Twitter at between_SethFF, joined by my co-hosts, two of the rising stars in this industry, Nate Polvo and Scott Rainier. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
What's up? Doing great, man. Glad to be here. Always.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, super excited. Doing these bi-weekly. I get a little itchy.
Yeah, right?
Absolutely. We'll fix that itch for you, Scott, by the time the season rolls around.
I know.
For right now, for the offseason, we want to do something a little different here at In Between Media, something a little different here on the podcast. As you guys know, every website, every brand in this industry, they have a come-up story. What made them who they are and why they do what they do. So every 2 weeks in the off season, we're going to be bringing in a name within this industry, and they're going to tell us their come up story. Our first off season session of 2021, we are very happy to welcome none other than Rumboyz Robbie.
What is good, gentlemen?
What's up, my man?
Hey, cheers to me. Cheers to you. Shout out to the whole In Between Media crew. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Robbie. Appreciate it.
Cheers to my water here.
No worries. I don't worry. I'm the same person every show I go on. I start that. I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
Absolutely.
Got to keep up with the brand, man.
Yeah, it's a brand thing. It takes the edge off. It's like, all right, we're ready to do this. We're ready to do this. Yeah, fellas, no, thank you for having me at Rumboyz Robbie's, where you can find me. Google us, rumboyz.com. Just type in Rumboyz. Like, honestly, you'll find all of our social media everywhere we're at. Straight up.
Yeah, absolutely. Robbie, we appreciate you being here, man. How this is going to work for our listeners today, we're going to start. We're going to interview Robbie as a group, the three of us, really kind of hear his origin stories, Rumboy's origin story, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of this recent QB action going on in the NFL. Obviously, the Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford trade from a couple of weeks ago, and then more recently here, the Carson Wentz deal to Indianapolis. We're going to break that down in a segment that we always like to do here on the show called Sure Things, Sleepers of the Week. But gentlemen, why don't we get on right into it and to the interview? Robbie, why don't let's start with the basic questions you get in every interview. How old are you? Where do you live now? Where can our audience find you and your work?
Check out our work on our YouTube channel, Rumboyz Fantasy Network. You can also check out our work on brand new, the Sports Me app. So download the Sports Me app if you guys haven't already. I'm 29 years old. I'll be turning 30 this June 14th. 2 days before Tupac's birthday. We kind of
Nice.
I got a shout out to homie. R.I.P. And yeah, I live in Colorado Springs, Colorado, by way of the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. Also, shout out to all my family in L.A. because I spent half my life over there as well in Cali.
Awesome,
man.
Yeah, not too far from Nate there in Colorado there then.
No, man, just right
No.
down the road. Right down the road. We're practically neighbors.
Yeah, literally. Like I used to go to like the dispensary, like right there in Denver. Like it's like, yeah.
Absolutely. So Robbie, here's a question, and it's one that you might not see a lot in a lot of these interviews in this industry. I want to know about everything before you started making content, and not just the fantasy football stuff, like when you got into it and why you wanted to become a content creator. But tell me a little bit more. Like, what was your upbringing like? What was high school like for you? What'd you do after high school? All that kind of good shit.
Yeah. High school for me was kind of dope because I knew everybody. I played on the football team. I was in junior ROTC. My freshman year, I did a little bit of choir, but I was like, this is whack. I can't do it. But I was also known as like the kid that could rap as well. So I had a lot going for me for me in high school. Girls was my downfall.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that was kind of a rocky area for me. But I mean, growing up outside of high school was kind of the escape for me because growing up, like, it was rough. Parents divorced at about age 10. One of the things that always stuck with me, was my daddy told me. My daddy had enlisted in the Navy, which led to me enlisting in the Air Force when I turned 17. But he had always told me he never really wanted to be in the military. He only did it because he had got my mom pregnant when she was 17. And I remember him telling me he really wanted to be a Dallas Cowboys writer. That was his favorite team. Ironically enough, I'm the complete opposite, Washington football team. That always stuck with me. After high school, after my glory days, I enlisted into the United States Air Force. I for real, I hated it. Like I was not a fan whatsoever. I mean, I got to travel and everything. I did deploy. I did deploy twice to Afghanistan. But it just all in all, it wasn't something for me. Coming home, dealing with PTSD. I was there in 2010 at Bagram when the Chow Hall got attacked. And that was one of the instances, losing my friend who was in the 240 Bravo Tower. It's one of the instances where it was kind of like, bro, I am not trying to go home in a Pinewood box. Like, I am not just trying to be, I always knew that I was destined for something. I wanted to live, So got out of the military after about 2.5 years because, well, they wanted to send me on a third deployment. I told my squadron leader he could go fuck himself politely. Actually, I didn't say it very politely. I was like, you could go fuck yourself. That's not happening. I was like, look, it's either you could give me orders to Yokota Air Force bases in Japan, and I'll then take my third deployment assignment. Then after that, but like I'm not deploying and then coming back here to this shithole. Like I'm done. And then they were like, oh, well, fine, fuck it. You can get out of my military. And I was like, perfect. Yo, let's go. Got out of the military, started working in the music industry, did that for a hot minute, took a corporate job with Comcast, NBC Universal, doing marketing and sales. Well, first I took a job with the Verizon Business. That's how I moved out here moved out here to Colorado. Then I took a job with Comcast, NBC Universal, doing marketing and sales. After working a little bit in corporate America, my skills in the military and my associates that I acquired in the military, I was like, you know what? I feel like I really have enough skills and plus just natural born hustle from growing up in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Like, I'll be honest, I'm from Southeast DC, Berry Farms. It's not a great place. It's not beautiful. I lived in a fucking project building, like for real. And looking at that and like looking at that life and growing up in that environment, I was like, you know what? I never want to go back to that. I don't like working for somebody else. I need to be my own boss. Left corporate America about 3 years ago, and I've been running the Rumboyz Fantasy Network ever since then.
You're killing it, dude.
Yeah,
you're crushing it.
Hey, and Robbie, thanks for your service, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have assumed you landed in Colorado Springs because of the Air Force.
No,
not
I went.
because of Verizon.
No, I went back home to Virginia. My mom had moved to Virginia, and I went back to Virginia after.
Oh, crazy! For anybody who doesn't know, there's the Air Force Academy is in Colorado Springs.
Yep.
And there's a couple of military bases, like Air
A million.
Force and joint bases down there. So it would stand to reason I would have assumed that's how you ended up in Colorado Springs, knowing that you were Air Force.
I ended up here because I went to a VA doctor while I was still living in VA after I got out. And they were like, dude, the military has you on this weird fucked up combination of uppers and downers. They were giving me Ambient for insomnia so I could sleep through the nightmares. Xanax for the depression. The combination, like the cocktail was really fucking crazy.
That's brutal.
Super brutal. And he was like, they're pretty much killing you. I can't tell you. He's like, I can't tell you on the record, but off the record, there's medical marijuana. The cannabinoid receptors have been proven to, kind of help, regenerate the liver. Like, maybe we should give this a shot. I moved to Colorado, and like the first year I moved here, man, it was a lot of like CBD treatments, like, weaning yourself like off of like all the medication like the military had me on. Like, I didn't know, like, realistically, like at that time back then, like we didn't have like all the research, like, yeah, this is really bad for you. And like, I didn't know that they were giving me like an addiction problem.
Right. Well, how could you?
Yeah, like I was also being ordered, like they're like, you're giving orders, like it's like, yo, you need to take this, like, yo, like did you take your medicine today, like are you good, like can you perform your duties, like it's like, so like you don't know, you're just like, oh, like at 17 years old, 18, 19 years old, you're being told, yo, just do this and just do what they tell you, like you don't know any better, you're not woke.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a buddy who joined straight out of high school, having no idea that 9/11 was about to happen. And he was part of the 101st Airborne. And he ended up in that first wave into Iraq when we first invaded. Dude, the stories he told me, like, I have so much respect for anyone, Robbie, you, anybody who served our country, because the stories he told me about the things he saw in Iraq, I don't know how he sleeps at night. No clue. No idea.
Now I'm able to, and I have an amazing wife, soon to be wife. Shouts to my Mrs. Nicole, and like, it's amazing the power of love, because like it can help you, one, stay focused on your dreams, your goals, and ambitions, but two, it can help you kind of cope with that and deal with that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Robbie, it seems like, from growing up where you did to the military, it seems like you've gone through a lot of this adversity. What really kept you grounded through that time, and what kind of kept you going to the point that you are the person who you are today, which seems super comfortable in your own skin?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that just knowing that there was something better on the other side, like, you listen to songs like Biggie's, like Sky's the Limit, or music like that just motivates you and inspires you, and I'd sit back and I jam, for hours. I just write down, business plans, I'm gonna make it somehow, whether it was gonna be me participating in sports, whether it was gonna be, music, like I knew somehow, some way that I wanted more, I just wanted more. And I think that just kind of honestly, when you go through so much shit and life puts you through so much shit, like no matter what you believe in, whether it's, God, the universe, like the universe, God, or whatever, you're only going to be giving the strongest soldiers are going to be the ones given the roughest battles, so just kind of always knowing that like no weapon formed against you shall prosper, like knowing that like damn, like I can really do it. I think I just had this really fucked up belief in myself, like honestly, like I had this weird like I'm gonna do this, and I just kind of never questioned myself. I don't know.
It shows.
Yeah, certainly does.
Robbie, so when you kind of started getting into, I guess, fantasy sports a little more and started to get to the point where you wanted to create content, what specifically inspired Rumboyz? Like, where did the name come from? Like, what is Rumboyz' underlining mission, and how did that kind of start?
So Rumboyz started with honestly just me and one of my homeboys, Ty Boogie. Shout out to my homie Ty Boog. And we were just at his crib one day. We had all the homies over. We used to have cases on cases of this Captain Morgan private stock. They don't make this shit anymore. So like
they don't make it anymore.
Yeah, they don't make it anymore.
Oh,
so like,
that's the only Captain Morgans I ever liked.
I know, right? So that's why we had cases until this day. We still have cases of this shit, right?
Wow.
Like he lives in Chicago now, so he'll ship me a bottle for my birthday. Like for special occasions, we break out a bottle, and it was Redskins Bears, or I'm sorry, Washington football team versus Bears, and we started arguing. And like all of our homies and like their girlfriends were around, like our girlfriends were around at the time, and they were like, can y'all shut up? Like y'all just need, start up a show. And then we were like, and then we noticed that they all got quiet. They were entertained by our debate. They didn't even care about what was happening in the middle of the game anymore. It was just like, our two teams were at it, and then we started going at it. And then we decided, after killing a second bottle of private stock, an argument, and a whole Cuban cigar later, we should start a podcast. Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. And it's like nighttime at this point. Ty is in a robe, feeling like a boss. It's like, yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, we should do it. And then we did it. And here we
are, man.
Yeah, here we are. He was with the company for like the first year, helping kind of launch it off. Then he moved back to Chicago. Gave me over, turned over his equity stake, and then I became sole proprietor. And then from there, like at first I was really scared. I was like, damn, I'm not gonna have that helping hand right next to me anymore. But it turned out to actually be the best thing for me because I have an amazing staff. Shout out to all my writers, shout out to all of our on-air personalities, and they really they really kill it, and they understand the vision and the dream.
And Robbie, can you talk a little bit about from like that aspect of being kind of a rookie content creator coming into this space? What were those first couple months and years like trying to get into this, and what were some of the hurdles you had to overcome and some things that you found successful?
For me, I had remembered a lot from my business marketing classes and journalism classes, and honestly just hustling in the streets coming up,
Yeah.
I understood the principles of utilizing 6 degrees of separation and making connections and formulating connections. One of my favorite sayings is if somebody stops you and you're on your way to try and make $1 million, and all your way to make $1 million is all they have to say in that first 5 minutes is not a damn thing, keep walking, because that ain't the person that you need to be talking to. So I really wanted to surround myself with people that were like-minded, and then that kind of shared the same vision, that really believed. And that's what I love about the fantasy industry, is that we all really believe that this can really become a full-time someday. This really can, take off. I mean, of course, yeah, you got to be determined. You got to have a business model. You got to be willing to honestly be vulnerable with the audience that you're projecting to. It is not just being a fantasy analyst, and it's not just being an entrepreneur. You have to accept the fact that your listeners and your viewers are going to respect you if you are just a regular person, if you are just you, if you are authentic. If you're not authentic, they're going to tell and they're going to call you out. So me kind of understanding that aspect of social media and social media marketing allowed me to be able to just peel back the veil a lot easier and a lot faster, and just be like, so this is who I am, and it's either you're going to like it and you're going to respect it and you're going to accept it. And if you don't, then don't.
Right.
And I think that's,
for me, oddly enough, like I spent a really long time, not being authentic, not being myself, comparing to other people, scared of how people perceive me. And it wasn't until I got here, Twitter of all places,
right,
where I've and I mean, for me, I kind of treated it like a clean slate. I was like, I'm just getting to know a lot of these people. Let's just try this out. Let's try out just complete Scott, and it's been freeing, it's been a sense of freedom I've never had. So
yeah, one of my, no, and I like that, Scott, and to what you just said, for everyone out there, no, if people don't like you, guess what? They don't have to like you. You know, and that's one of the things I love that my mama raised me in that manner. It's like, baby, a lot of people ain't gonna like you. You know, as long as you love yourself and you like yourself, then the people that are going to like you, the people that are going to love you, are going to fuck with you on that level, the same way that you love and appreciate yourself. So first, if you love yourself, then everything else is going to come full circle. You don't have to worry about it if you know, fantasy football person over here or fantasy football person over here likes me or loves me. Hate me all you want. The haters are going to make me famous. I need you to hate me. I want you to hate me because that's more motivation.
Man, because those haters will blast your name all over the place. And like what they do, it's so funny sometimes I see where people are like fuck this guy or whatever,
Right.
like in a tweet, and you're like, well, now I knew who that person is. I didn't know before. Why are you so angry at him? And then you look up, you're like, well, I don't hate him.
Oh, my favorite thing lately has been when I recently lost my account is seeing, you know, who's really been there supporting, you know, over these last, you know, couple of years, you know, or whenever they have found us from whatever time frame they have found us, is when I lost my Twitter account, there are some folks that they saw it as an opportunity. They were like, oh, Rumboyz isn't in the industry anymore. Oh, they got a setback? Nah, minor setback for a major comeback, baby. All that did was just all you did was awake a monster. You didn't slow me down. It may have slowed me down in your mind, but there's tricks up these sleeves.
Dude, so have you, just on a quick aside, have you heard anything about getting your account back, bro?
It's probably not gonna happen. I'm gonna keep
Seriously?
fighting it, but you know, it's probably not gonna happen. Like,
And that dude's still out there floating around. That's ridiculous.
he gets to mess with people, but it is what it is. It's like,
For sure, but like, I suppose for me, it makes me angry because all you were doing was defending people that this guy was attacking in a very derogatory, nasty manner. Like, what? Come on.
But the way I see it, and one of my mentors told me this, he was like, you know what? If you were big enough for Twitter to discipline you, then you know what? You're doing something right. In all honesty, you have a big enough. You're clearly you developed a following. Bro, we had hashtag Rumboyz like that was like a thing. You know, I've everybody that did that, by the way.
Robbie, so it seems like, you know, throughout your career, whatever it's been, whether it was before Rumboyz, at the beginning of Rumboyz, you know, building this company, and even now, like the story of you losing your Twitter account, it seems like it just comes back to the one thing that you continue to hustle and you continue to grind over whatever adversity you face. So can you just talk a little bit about, like, what is that drive, man? Is it just that belief in yourself that keeps you going?
I think it's just hard work, dedication, you know, belief in yourself. I believe in my staff. My staff, they motivate the hell out of me. For the Rumboyz and for me as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, the day that I'm able to, you know, turn to all the people that have been supporting me and all the guys and girls on my staff, and I can cut them and I can start cutting them some checks, don't believe me. You know, we're not at that point yet. Mm-hmm. But I wholeheartedly believe that we are approaching that point and we are going to be at that point. And when we get to that point, that's going to be the most fulfilling day of my life. Rumboyz isn't necessarily about me, you know. I mentioned before the show, I have a daughter. My daughter actually was taken away from me in the middle of our court battle between me and my baby mother. Baby mother found out, like, oh, they're probably not going to make Robbie have to pay as much child support and probably going to give him majority custody. And that created Diary of a Mad Black Woman, and she dipped off, moved away out of state. And you know, I haven't seen my daughter in almost 2 years. I missed out on 2 birthdays. So I mean, that's really, you know, the motivation. I think that undying will of, like, one day you're going to see me on TV. I think that undying will of, you know, people doubt me and people don't think that I'm going to be able to do this. That actually, by the way, that situation with my daughter happened while I was still in corporate America, making like I made $80K in corporate America my first year, just like fucking around, you know, like. So I mean, you know, it sucked going through that situation. But I mean, everything that I've gone through, you know, living in really messed up neighborhoods, growing up in a single family home, you know, when my mom chose to remarry, you know, that not being the best situation, you know, having my daughter taken from me, but then also having the love of the people around me, having the love of my staff and the people that support me and support Rumboyz and support the brand. That makes it all worth it. And knowing that every single day, like when we were backstage, you were like, you know, hey, yo, we look up to you. I'm like, bro, like, if you knew the shit that I've been through, like, don't, like, you know. But I mean, hearing that and knowing that, it's like, you know what? That's why I got to get up and I have to do this every day. That's why I got to schedule these meetings and, you know, help develop this app, you know, and I got to, you know, help run. And I still got to run my company, but then also, you know, market this other thing, because you know what? I have to make sure that I silence everybody. There's going to come a day and there's going to come a time where, you know, people are going to be like, damn, I made fun of him in high school, or damn, you know, like I put him through this, or, you know, and it's just like, it just takes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a workaholic because of everything I went through.
I hear that, man. I'm the same way. Like, I have so many people, and this sounds so dumb at 38 years old, but people that I went to like elementary and middle school with, and I'm like, you know what? One of these days, you treated me so poorly for so many years of my life, and I never forgot it. And one of those days, you're going to see me on your TV, and you're going to be like, well, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel that for 100%. And like, what you're doing is going to get you there, man. Like,
I appreciate it.
Robbie, I just have to say, man, like, thank you very much for opening up and showing us that authenticity there, man. I mean,
it's hard, but I talk about it on my own show, so I might as well, you know, bring it here.
And that's the type of things, man, that we talk about here at In Between Media. Like, in every column, we put something. You know, I'm only 22 years old, Robbie, but I've been through, you know, similar stuff to you. I've lost people and not been able to see certain people, you know, because of things similar to what you're talking about, man. And it's that fuels us here at In Between Media. And it's these stories that we just heard from you, man, that is why we do this. Yes, we love fantasy football here, and we love other fantasy sports, and we love hanging out with everyone on social media. But at the end of the day, man, we're here to tell stories, and stories like that one that are uplifting. And so thank you for that, Robbie. That was exceptional.
No,
yeah,
I
want to say how much I appreciate it too, because like Seth said, you know, we have the fantasy football and fantasy sports angle, but you know, one of my goals with my existence here is to assist in the process of normalizing just talking about our lives, talking about what we've been through, that it doesn't need to be this source of shame and guilt that, you know, and again, I can't speak for anybody, but that has been a roadblock for me for a really long time. Self-induced. I mean, my past is my past. You know, I have a different story, but you know, I have my past, and I spent a long time feeling guilty and feeling ashamed about things I had done, when obviously that feeling that way in the present isn't going to change the past, which seems like an easy thing to realize, but it's not until I've gotten older that I've actually been able to accept that. So I think for people that are struggling with whatever it might be, it just helps to be able to talk about it without fear of judgment and, you know, fear of,
and knowing you're not alone.
Exactly.
Knowing that you're not the only person who's felt this way. Like, that's something that this fantasy community has given me. I didn't know there were so many people like me.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And now I'm in this world where all these people are like, yeah, I struggle with that stuff too. I was like, okay. Yeah. Now I feel normal. I don't feel like an outcast where I feel like I have to hide from everyone around me. I get to be out and open and here and doing these things with you three awesome guys on a Tuesday afternoon evening.
And that's the way that it should be, though. For real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Robbie, you know, kind of bridging off that a little bit, the one thing I want to talk about, and I think I had reached out to you a couple months ago. You kind of shared something on Twitter that really kind of, you know, got me thinking, and it was something about how you wanted to be the type of media influence and the type of content creator that for the kids who are there and maybe they're growing up in a bad home life, or maybe something's going on in someone's life, like you just want them to kind of come hang out with you and your friends on the stream.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that, man? That was super powerful.
So I posted on my TikTok. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I do edit another creator. And just it's open arms at the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. Like, you don't have to, you don't have to drink or smoke or whatever. Like, that's just whatever we do. But I mean, and that's just like some of the personality types of our people. But it's really an open place to where, like, if you're going through some shit, come sit down and talk. There have been times where we have stopped a whole stream because, someone in the chat is going through something. And it's like, we may be talking about, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers right now, but hold on, we're going to address you. I can do this any other time. It doesn't matter, and it just, there are people that are going through stuff, and giving them a break and the ability to take a break from it all, or even just, to be able to talk, like, it's fucking dope. It's dope. Like, everybody needs somebody, and there are people that don't have anybody. There are kids that are going to school, getting picked on every damn day, and they can't even tell their own parents. They can't even tell their own parents, So it's like, you know what? I've been through the fucking ringer. If nobody's gonna get you, Robbie's gonna get you.
Appreciate that, man. Absolutely. Final question here for you, Robbie, in the interview portion of the show is, what's next for Robbie and what's next for the Rumboyz, man?
We're over there on the Sports Me app. Everybody go and download the Sports Me app. Hit me up with feedback on the app on Twitter. We're constantly going to be making things better and building it up. That's one of our big things. We just did our merger with Unwrapped Sports. Shout out to our Unwrapped Sports crew for coming on to the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. So we went from being 40 people strong just for the Rumboyz to like, now we got 60. There's another pod that is going to be joining the Rumboyz Fantasy Network very soon, but nice. I cannot leak that news yet. But yeah, we're building up our writing team. We're building up our on-air personalities. If you go to our YouTube channel within the next week, expect pretty much 5 to 8 hours a day worth of content around the clock from all of our different on-air personalities, all of our different shows. Our brand new live lineup will be live. So it's going to be kind of the new ESPN type of feel, but you don't have to pay a fucking cable bill.
Let's go.
That's awesome, dude.
Awesome, man.
I mean, it was called Rumboyz Fantasy Network for a reason. We wanted to kind of eventually give it that whole network feel, but it took 3 years, but we're here, damn it. We finally did it.
I'd rather watch you guys than ESPN.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much. That was another reason why we created to go against those guys.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Robbie, for telling your story to us. For everyone who stuck around for the back half of our show, we are going to get into some fantasy discussion right now. I know if you're probably like me and stuck in central Pennsylvania, it's been cold as hell lately. And today was the first time I've seen snow melted since December. Ooh. So we're gonna bring a little bit of summertime back to the show with one of our favorite segments, Sure Things, Sleepers of the Week. What we're gonna do in today's episode is we're gonna find some subtle fantasy value from the recent QB movement. Obviously, everyone who's listening to this podcast probably knows that a couple weeks ago, Jared Goff was traded along with 2 first-round picks to the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford, he's on his way to Los Angeles. And just last week, Nate, you and I have been talking about this since November. Carson Wentz, the mystery's over. He finally ends up back with Frank Reich in Indy. So we're gonna break this down the best way we know how to, and we're gonna tell you who we're kind of feeling in. Is it going to be a value come redrafts because of these trades specifically? Robbie, guest go first, man. Kick it off for us.
Awesome. I'm going to make mine nice, short, simple, and quick here. So we're doing the sleepers, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Or I apologize. We're doing the sleeper picks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. My sleeper pick from the Detroit Lions would be one, T.J. Hawkinson. One, I interviewed this guy. Two, come on, guys. How could he be a sleeper? I see how he could be a sleeper with how much of a desolate wasteland that the tight end position was last year. But I promise you that the ceiling is definitely there for Hawkinson. If you want to go and get the premium tight ends, I don't blame you. But I feel like this is a guy that you guys can go ahead and wait on later rounds in terms of redraft. In terms of dynasty, I could understand if you may want to move away from him.
Right.
But I'm right now still keeping him. He's still young. He's heading into his third year. I think that Jared Goff will be stable enough to get him the ball.
And the thing about him, Robbie, specifically, is TJ Hawkinson, there's a chance he's the most veteran pass catcher on this team come August. We don't know what lies ahead for Kenny Golladay. Hopefully he makes it out. Marvin Jones is definitely probably on his way out. So there's a chance that TJ Hawkinson finds himself in a George Kittle-esque role come August.
Yeah. By the way, Hawkinson, one of the biggest freaking individuals I've ever met. The man is massively huge. I'm like, dude, you eat sequoia trees for breakfast? Shit.
Dude, it's always funny when you meet somebody like that and you're like, well, I knew you were big, but
I didn't know you take up a whole doorway big. Like,
I stood next to Peter Forsberg in a restaurant one time. Like, I knew he was big, but oh man, dude, he's like twice my size. I feel like he was literally twice my size.
Yeah, I saw Steve Young in a Costco in California once with a baby stroller, and I mean he was a fairly he was a big quarterback, but he was a quarterback, and still he would just dwarfed everyone around him. It's crazy. It's because we see him mostly from that TV angle, where they all kind of look the same size, and in my head they're all 41, just like me, right? But no, I'm with you on Hawkinson, and I'm buying him. I'm buying him in Dynasty too. I think. Yeah. I'm willing to reach a little bit because, like you said, the tight ends are pretty much a wasteland. Yeah. So when I get past the top three, I want that. I want that potential. I want that athletic freak potential that's going to get a lot of targets. And I mean, he had 100 targets with Stafford. Goff, between Everett and Higbee, 120 targets to the tight end last year. So I think he's going to get fed. So, I mean, that's the problem too, is he had, 100 targets. He had 6 touchdowns. He didn't have a George Kittle Kelsey year. So you want to say, oh, he's just one of those wasteland tight ends, but that's a solid year. And I mean,
it's a very solid year.
I'm buying on TJ Hawkinson.
Oh, the thing people need to remember too, is like Kelsey and Kittle are like kind of in their own league. Like, they're not really comparable. Like they're
wide receiver ones. They're in
their own tier as far as tight ends go.
And tight ends take a minute to break out anyways. Like when you're investing in a tight end, think of it like a stock that for a fact you're going to sit and wait on.
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts. Yeah, they get ready, guys. All of you Kyle Pitts truthers, get ready.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Robbie. I mean, we've seen it. Mark Andrews, I think it was his second year. He really broke out. George Kittle was his second year. But a lot of these guys, it does take till their third season. And we've seen it time in and time out again. Zach Ertz didn't take off for a couple years. I mean, Darren Waller, he didn't break out till age 28. So there's definitely time to develop for tight ends. Speaking of developing players here, Scott, who is your sure thing sleeper of the week as a result of these trades?
My sleeper isn't necessarily because of the trade, but he's on one of the teams, so I'm going to count it. I went with Paris Campbell. I've liked Paris Campbell since he was at Ohio State. I went back and rewatched some Paris Campbell tape at Ohio State from his senior year because I've been watching a lot of tape of the rookie wide receivers lately. And I watched him, and I mean, he jumped off the screen.
I scouted Campbell. I can agree.
Oh yeah. No, I mean he's 6 foot 200 plus pounds. He ran a 4. I mean he's been decimated with injuries. He did run a 4.31 combine, so he's blazing fast. Hopefully that's still true. He had that gruesome MCL injury last year, week 2. I read a few articles where people were like, "Oh, is this the end of the road for Paris Campbell?" But that was in December when it was kind of they're being really secretive about his injury. How bad is it? I think at this point they were just making sure this dude's healthy, making sure he's fully recovered. He had 3 surgeries his rookie year, that he's ready to roll. Because him and Pittman, I mean, Wentz, so many people are blinded by how utterly bad he was this year.
Oh, but Wentz is a story within itself.
Yeah. I won't go down that road, but I'm big on Campbell, and I mean, right now, Fantasy Pros redraft rankings. I mean, I'm there's no way I'm doing 16 rounds of rankings myself for redraft in February, so I'm going to look at Fantasy Pros. He's what is it? I had it written down somewhere. 15th round, 14th, 15th round. So I mean, the only thing I think that could really change that sleeper value for him is if T.Y. Hilton officially moves on, if he's not re-signed, which I think is a high probability. So when that actually becomes reality, you know how that creates a spike in value for people, like like Jalen Hurts. I was pretty sure Jalen Hurts was going to be the starter next year. I was ranking him as such, but then once it happened, everybody's scrambling, because it's official. So that could lead to a little bit of a spike. But I mean, in both dynasty and redraft, I think Campbell's he's not a sure thing, even though this is called sure thing sleepers. But I mean, he's got that potential to be an amazing steal where he's currently going.
Well, and at this point, if they don't sign T.Y. Hilton, they're probably not going to re-sign Zach Pascal. So your 1-2 guys are going to be Campbell and Pittman in that instance, unless they go out. We've heard some talk about them maybe going after Chris Godwin. But do we really think Chris Godwin?
Chris Godwin's not leaving.
There's no way. There's no way.
If anyone, they need to target a Kenny Golladay or an Allen Robinson, 2 guys.
Galladay's not leaving.
Exactly.
Galladay's getting the franchise tag. Man. I'm telling you, why would you like? What? Well, I mean,
we have Detroit, a couple of days to find out. Luckily, we have a couple of days to find out.
Yeah,
I know. All speculation. We'll have to see.
T.Y. love that. Hilton's 32. He made $13 million last year. They're not bringing him back.
Dude, I'm so ready between here and the 9th to just hurry up and just go like that, because I'm so sick and tired. Like these people are like, well, did you hear this? And did you hear that? I'm like, did you realize that you just retweeted something that is a fake report?
Right.
Yeah, like that one that showed J.J. Watt in a Packers uniform.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's not real.
And it's not happening. They don't
St. Patrick's Day. That's when free agency starts. Just chill out.
Exactly. But nah.
All right, Nate, who is your sure thing sleeper of the week regarding these trades, man?
So I really like Van Jefferson with the Rams. I mean, he didn't get a ton of love this year. They gave all that love to Josh Reynolds.
Yeah.
He was a rookie, but he was a 2nd-round pick. Like,
yeah. You
don't draft a guy in the 2nd round and not use him. And now that you've got Matthew Stafford, who likes to spread the field, I think Van Jefferson is a guy who he runs a really great slant route. He's got quick feet. He gets in and out of his cuts really quickly, and he shakes defenders really easily in his routes. And a guy like Stafford who likes to bomb the ball. I mean, when you've got a guy that at 15 yards can do a little stutter step and lose his guy downfield, you're going to throw him the ball. Kupp and Woods are good. Those intermediate route guys. Van Jefferson is also an intermediate route guy. They ran a ton of 11 personnel last season. So they had 3 wide receivers on the field the majority of the time, with Josh Reynolds probably gone in free agency. I mean, Jefferson's that 3rd guy. Unless they go out and get somebody. But who are they going to go out and get?
They can't afford anybody.
No, they can't. Correct. No, you're absolutely 100% correct. The Rams purposely got Van last year to already solve this problem and curate this problem. So you're correct.
And now they've got Matthew Stafford instead of Jared Goff.
Yeah.
So they're even better off at quarterback. And I know there's been knocks on, well, Stafford's getting older. And yeah, dude, but for the first time in his career, he is on a team that actually legitimately has a shot at not only going to the playoffs, but winning a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
McVay's a good coach.
He's getting older, but he's not that old.
He's 32, right?
Yeah, that's not that old. I mean,
well, no, for you and Scott, for you and I, that doesn't feel.
Okay.
I wish I was.
I mean, I'm not saying every player is going to be Tom Brady, who is actually older than me. But I don't, at least not. I mean, if you're talking dynasty, you can start having that conversation. But I think he's 32. I'm not concerned about that as far as age. I think what I like about Jefferson is his draft pedigree speaks for itself. I mean, they saw a reason to draft him in the 2nd round. Same place Pittman went, same place Paris Campbell went.
Yep.
So now with because what I'm so excited about, and everybody's been talking about it, but McVay combined with Stafford, I'm very excited to see what comes from that combo with the success he was able to bring to Jared Goff, who I don't think is that good. So I mean, and he fits the sleeper mold. He's a guy you can get cheap.
Yep.
I mean,
that offense is going to be markedly different next year. We're going to see some things out of that Rams offense. Cam Akers, man, to the moon.
To the moon.
To the moon with Cam Akers.
Yeah, I love that pick, Nate. I'll be interested to see what Van Jefferson can do here in 2021, specifically because my sleeper selection regarding these trades is Cooper Kupp. And I know right now, if you were a Cooper Kupp owner in 2020,
not a sleeper.
Okay, it is a mild it's a sleeper for what you're going to get him for, because right now he has sour taste in his mouth for anyone who drafted him in 2020. And the big thing with Cooper Kupp is we've seen for years, this guy is a red zone threat. And in 2020, they didn't want to run it, or they didn't want to throw it in the red zone, because every time they did, Jared Goff was throwing picks. So that's why you saw Darrell Henderson get stuffed at the line, 50 times. So I think Cooper Kupp, he's going to be a guy, he's probably going to go farther back in redrafts than he did last season. I'm going to say somewhere in that middle of the 5th round. You mentioned Josh Reynolds. He's probably going to walk. Gerald Everett's probably also going to walk. That's going to open up 143 vacated targets here in Los Angeles. Yes, Van Jefferson, he's going to step up and take a majority of those targets, but Cooper Kupp, I think, is also going to get an increase. Remember last season coming into this, everyone was debating, is it Tyler Higbee year or is it a Cooper Kupp year? Because in 2019, they ran so much 12-man personnel with 2 tight ends on the field. Now, without Gerald Everett, another veteran tight end, they're probably going to be running more this 3 wide receiver set. So I'm excited about him there. And he's still the 11th highest paid wide receiver in terms of guaranteed money left on the table. So he just got paid. I think if you're looking around for a wide receiver 2 somewhere in that 5th or 6th round, Cooper Kupp's a guy I'd be excited to grab here in 2021.
Yeah, just real quick, I think Robbie's got to bounce. Robbie,
we're about to close up here anyway.
Are we? Okay.
Yep. Sorry. So thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Robbie, thank you so much for coming on, man, and telling us your story. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It was a pleasure to have you.
Hell yeah. No, I appreciate you guys for having me. This was the most fun I had, and I'm so sorry that between my meetings and double bookings that I have to, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize for grinding.
Man.
Yeah. Grinding is grinding. You're good.
Hey, appreciate you fellas. Cheers to me. Cheers to you. Shouts to the whole In Between Media crew. This has been an amazing fucking podcast, and thank you fellas for having me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Man, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, everybody. Keep it in between until the next time we talk. And Nate, Scott, and I will be back in 2 Wednesdays from now. So make sure you check that out. And you can check the audio version of this show out as well. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and keep it in between.